How's it going, you guys, and welcome back to the channel. Well, Bill and Ted Face the Music is coming out this Friday, and I'm very excited to watch that movie. But today we're on round 2 of the Bill and Ted movies. Today we're going to be talking about the sequel to Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, directed by Peter Hewitt, is the sequel to the first Bill and Ted movie and has Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter reprising their roles as Bill and Ted. The story follows evil robot versions of Bill and Ted from the future as they attempt to kill and replace the present versions of the duo. Their mission turns out to be a success as they end up killing the two friends, which sends them into the afterlife, and it's up to Bill and Ted to go on another excellent journey to escape the afterlife. Nope. The first Bill and Ted movie was such an excellent adventure, and I gotta say that I enjoyed every single second of it. From the great laughs, the exciting moments, and even a great musical score to accompany the duo, I gotta say that it was a great thing to watch. And what better way to enjoy these elements again by making a sequel? Well, guess what? That's a load of bogus, because Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey is unfortunately in that category of bad sequels, as it decides to take all those elements from its predecessor and just dial it down to one big meh. I mean, it's so hard to believe that a fun and energetic film like the first Bill and Ted could turn into an adventure that I wanted to end faster than I could say "Shut up, Ted."
Shut up, Ted! Shut up, Ted!
Compared to the last movie, it's such a huge step backwards that it's pretty unbelievable. Throughout this whole movie, it's just so full of scenes that just move so slowly, with very little of that charm from Bill and Ted. There's also so little energy throughout this movie, with some pretty lame and repetitive jokes from the last movie, that I honestly found myself yawning more than I laughed. Now, this first part is a little hard to talk about with this film, so I'm gonna go ahead and just get it out of the way very quickly by talking about some of the things that I actually enjoyed. In my previous Bill and Ted review, I talked about how bad the effects were in that movie, and in this movie, well, they're still kind of bad, but I'd be lying if I said they didn't improve. There's also many moments throughout this film where I saw that they went the more practical route with their effects instead of using all the CGI, which I can appreciate the step up. For instance, something like these walking testicles. Oh my god, what the hell are those things? I'll also say that there are a few scenes that I enjoyed. For instance, there was this one scene where Bill and Ted end up in hell, and they end up going through this crazy drug-like fantasy with Easter bunnies and old people and all these weird visuals on display, and I was just sitting there going, what the hell am I watching right now? It's one of the few moments where I didn't find myself yawning. It probably doesn't sound that crazy when I say it, but if you watch it for yourself, it's quite the experience, I'm not gonna lie. Also, surprisingly enough, Bill and Ted aren't the two characters that I found myself enjoying throughout this movie. And in fact, out of all people that I found the funniest, it was Death. Death, played by William Sadler, may be the best part of this whole movie. His performance alone was already enough to have me laugh at certain points, especially when he's seen in heaven with Bill and Ted. And they could honestly make a spin-off film about this version of Death, and I'd be completely fine with that.
Don't I know you? No.
But unfortunately, that's really the only bit of positive that I can give to this movie. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again when I say that Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey is a major step backwards from the previous film. This movie has so many problems when it comes to pacing, the overall energy, and especially the comedy. And when I say that it suffers from pacing, I mean this movie can drag on at times. There's quite a few scenes throughout this movie that can move really slowly, and they end up adding nothing to the story at all. And the way some of them play out, it can be very boring to sit through. For instance, when Bill and Ted end up dying,
Catch you later, Bill and Ted!
in the most convenient positions without scratches, they end up trying to possess people in order to get the message across that they've been murdered. However, the scene really doesn't add anything since nobody ever ends up questioning the fact that Bill and Ted are missing, and the messages are completely ignored. And on top of all that, they have other people imitating Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter's performance, which can be funny, but the problem is that in this scene alone, there's so little energy in it, it plays out so awkwardly, and it's not very funny, that I couldn't help but wonder why the scene was even in the movie to begin with, and I just wanted it to end faster than it started. And speaking of which, one of the best things about the first movie was the high amounts of energy it had. Such a fast-paced adventure with two guys having so much fun and acting silly while making jokes that actually worked was exciting to watch. It almost feels like the whole silliness factor was just thrown out the window from the last movie, and as a matter of fact, sometimes Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter really look like they're not having fun, so in the end, I'm not having fun. Take a look at a scene like this when Bill and Ted are playing board games with death. And yes, I just said they play board games with death. This scene itself literally goes on for 5 minutes, but it feels like it goes on for an eternity. There's no music to accompany them, Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter look like they don't want to be there, and I was so incredibly bored that I wanted to just skip this scene entirely because it was pretty obvious they were going to beat death. Just watch some of this scene with me and tell me if it feels at all like Bill and Ted to you.
Miss.
I believe Colonel Mustard did it in the study with the candlestick.
Right foot green.
Oh my god, they're even making Twister boring. My god. That felt just as bad as watching an instruction video in the Star Wars Holiday Special. You know, they could have easily made the scene into like a montage or something, and it probably would have played out a lot better than this. Have some of that rock music playing in the background, show some of the highlights of Bill and Ted beating death, and the scene wouldn't waste the 90-minute runtime. You know, playing board games alone can already be pretty boring to begin with, but watching people play board games is just a whole nother level of boring. And with Bill and Ted, you would think that they can make a scene like this a lot more fun to sit through. But they end up doing nothing with it, and it just turns out as a boring as hell scene. Board games? More like board games.
Shut your holes!
And you know, I never thought that I'd be saying that I would yawn during a Bill and Ted film, but this scene alone probably got the most yawns out of me, and that's quite a shame for me to say. But probably the worst part about this movie is how unfunny it is. And yeah, I said unfunny. Now, I'm not saying that there was nothing funny about this film. I already said that I enjoyed the performance of Death in this movie, and honestly, there were some jokes that did get a laugh out of me.
They're not here! Yeah, we lied. But here's the truth. We're totally gonna kill you now.
And of course, just like the last movie, sometimes the performances of Alex Winter and Keanu Reeves can be pretty bad at times, but it can also manage to make me chuckle a little bit. Overall though, because of the little amounts of energy in each scene, as well as the pacing of this movie, most of the jokes never managed to stick the landing. And honestly, I can't believe that Bill and Ted would stoop so low to make a joke like this.
You are a most excellent scientist, Station. Yeah. Plus, you got an excellently huge Martian butt.
You know, what was I thinking? I mean, the comedy in this movie is already stale, and I should have known that this movie wasn't above a lazy butt joke.
Plus, you got an excellently huge Martian butt.
My god. And just when I thought Alex Winter's voice could at least make me chuckle at that scene, it was just cringy as hell.
Excellently huge Martian butt.
My god, Bill and Ted, what's become of you? You know, it's quite a shame to know that this is the sequel we ended up getting after such a fun time-traveling adventure with one of the best comedic duos in movies. Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey is a 90-minute long bore fest with hardly any laughs, very little energy that will put you to sleep, and is such a major step down from the previous film that it's just one huge mess of a film. I know that there's fans of the franchise that do enjoy this movie, and if you're one of those fans, that's great. Enjoy the film for what it is. From my point of view though, there's a much better Bill and Ted movie out there with Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, with such a fast-paced journey, some great laughs, and some really high energy that could keep me entertained throughout. This film suffers the typical sequel treatment with movies and doesn't really seem to understand what made the first film so great. If for some reason you end up watching this film before the first movie, you could probably find some more enjoyment in it. But I also don't know why you'd do that to begin with. Just stick with Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and you'll be good to go. So with all that in mind, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey was a bogus journey, and I'm gonna go ahead and give it 4 out of 10 phone booths.
We lied. But here's the truth. We're totally gonna kill you now.
Oh, I'm just hoping that Bill and Ted Face the Music isn't as bad as this film. Hopefully the CGI will be good though. I mean, for a 2020 movie, what will you expect? Anyways though, I'd like to know what you guys think of Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you not care to watch it? I'd love to know in the comments below. And if you made it this far in the video, I'd appreciate it if you leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more future movie content. Thank you guys so much for joining me in this review. Look forward to more very soon. And until the next one, you guys, I'll see you later.